In my early 20s, I spent a lot of years, maybe I spent a decade in like personal development stuff, like devouring every book on like how to be better and how to set goals and how to manage time and all these different things. And what I found is that, like, I use a saying all the time here with my team, and I say principles are few, methods are many. There's really only a few core principles of success in life, but there's a million ways to apply those core principles. And what I found after like a decade of personal development is I found like almost every core principle of success came from the Bible.
Wow.
And so I think that's pretty important. I think you could easily look at 10 commandments, and it would be pretty hard to argue that if society would just follow thou shalt not kill and steal and covet, cheat on your wife, and like, I think the world would be, honor your parents. I think the world would probably be better. But from the financial side, from the money side, I think there's also a lot of lessons in there, right? So for example, there's a lot of teachings and parables about our talents. And this is something I feel very strongly about, and I've talked quite vocally about, right? Is that I believe that we all should be trying to develop ourselves to be the best versions that we can be, not for ourselves, but for the world, right? I should be building my skills, and I should be learning more skills so I can serve and solve bigger problems for the world. I did a show with Peter McCormick. I've done several shows, but I did one with him years ago, and I said something that kind of triggered him and it went kind of viral. But I was just talking about how I think that if you just live your life for minimum wage and just go work at McDonald's every day and go to your mother's basement and watch Netflix and Cheetos, I think that's selfish, because you're not working to make yourself better or the world better, right? And I think that I think there's a big lesson in there. Obviously, Jesus was the servant, right? And so all business owners are servants, and like the poor people, the communists, the Marxists want to say that billionaires are greedy and they got there from theft and stealing, but business owners are servants. All we do is make money by serving the needs of other people. I think that's important. Another area that I think is pretty important is that in Proverbs it talks about the importance a wise man leaves an inheritance for his children. And in the Bitcoin community and just across culture today, we see where like it's bad to leave money for your kids. I don't want to leave my kids any money. I don't want to ruin my kids, all these different things. But even in the Bitcoin space, we see this, right? But obviously the Bible says otherwise. And so I think a lot about legacy. I think about it like Bitcoin, right? So like Bitcoin is proof of work, and proof of work is creating the blockchain, right? So I'm here on earth for, 70, 80, hopefully 100 years. And I should leave some sort of proof of work of my life that I was here. And why wouldn't I want the next generation to start at the next layer higher than me? So I'll finish one block of my life and let my next generation add the next block, and the next generation add the next block. And why shouldn't the world be moving forward like a blockchain of life, with each of us contributing with the proof of our work, rather than living selfishly and dying with zero? So I think it's anti-biblical.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch we can keep going into, but I think those are a couple core ones for sure.
That was very powerful. The one that comes to mind for me was specifically with Jesus was just the ridiculous amount of just him being able to just bite his tongue. I just am blown away at the level he's able to, because in our industry, I have not noticed that amongst even the most respected, the guys who made the most money, they're not able to bite their tongue if they disagree. And I noticed that it's not a problem. Maybe it's a debate, maybe it's for the sake of conversation even. But for myself, I noticed, I was like, man, my ability to just shut up sometimes, I think could be a really big help if I can just get myself to not think everything I say is important. But maybe there's something to learn in every single scenario. I was blown away at that. That was probably one of the biggest things for me. But man, I love that second point, especially. I love both of the points you brought up, but the second one was, that was a baller. I see Bits of Wealth even commented here, who comes in a lot of our spaces. He says Solomon CEO is a great business and personal development course back in the day by Mark Hoverson. I don't know anything about that, but he said it was all based in Proverbs. So that's fascinating.
It's funny. I smiled when you said that, because this morning I was reading in the book of James, and the whole part of the book of James is that your tongue has the power to bring life and burn your house down at the same time. And so it's like, how can you control your tongue? And that's exactly what you said. Like, how can you control your tongue? The power to bring life and burn your house down is pretty amazing. I was just looking real quick. I have, if somebody likes this topic, I have a video on my channel called 12 Money Hacks from the 2,000-Year-Old Financial Book you've never heard of. And so it's a bunch of lessons I had pulled out of the Bible that pertain to money. And I think, so like what fiat money has done to us is it's got us all thinking that we should go to school, get a grade, save for retirement, and work for 40 years. And hopefully one day we'll have enough money so we can do nothing and lay around all day and live until we run out of money. But the Bible tells us that work is a virtue. Work is a virtue. We should want to work. Now, there's a difference of obviously working on things you hate, that's a non-starter, and working on things you want to do. I think that's important. It talks about wealth being actually a divine gift for us. I think also the Ten Commandments shows that private property rights are given by God, right? So in the Communist Manifesto Karl Marx wrote, he said, to summarize communism in one statement is abolition of private property. But the Ten Commandments says, thou shalt not steal. How can you steal something unless it's owned by somebody else? It talks about striving for excellence, right? So there's a lot of things about training yourself yourself like a fighter running the great race. Like I said, using your talents, a lot of stuff about budgeting and financial discipline, a lot of stories about actually investing for growth. Anyway, I can keep going on, but there's a lot of stuff there. And then ultimately the one that I love is generosity as the goal. Generosity as the goal. And so it's not about us, not about accumulation. It's like, what are we doing with it? And that kind of goes back to the selfish thing. It's like, if you're not doing anything with the talents that you've been given, and you're not doing anything with the time that you've been put on earth here for to help other people, like that's selfish. But also, if I made a bunch of money and didn't use any of it to help other people, that'd also be selfish as well.